Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Orvwo coming at you with another Call of Duty Warzone video for our beginners getting better at Warzone series. Still don't have a really good name for it. Anyways, we've talked about loadouts and how to set up a good loadout. Well, now we're going to talk about the individual guns and which ones are meta, which ones are viable, and which ones you should probably just stay away from. Now, you'll see a lot of people make these kind of videos on these tier maker website, but a lot of these people that are making these are incredibly strong players, and so sometimes I feel like that might lead some of their choices to lend to be not so helpful for players like maybe you and me. What I mean there is Z-Laner can probably drop a 40 kill game with the M82 and a Sigma. I don't think that we could. So we're gonna look at this through the lens of an average to below average player, and we're gonna see how it goes from there. Okay, so we'll rank these out. We have the strongest guns, the meta guns, the guns that can compete, maybe slightly off meta, guns that are viable, ones you shouldn't play, and then just kind of memes, trash, other stuff here. We'll see how it goes as we go all the way through all of these guns. I would love to actually hear your thoughts on any of these choices. Again, this is pretty much just my opinion, so I would love to hear what you think in the comments. If you make your own tier list, I'd love to see that as well. You can send it to me on Twitter or wherever you want to, really. Anyways, let's just jump right into it. Right off the bat, we're going to go just in the order that they're on here. AK-47 Cold War. This is an excellent gun right now. The latest nerf, where they kind of nerfed the movement speed on the Cold War rifles, has hurt the rifle meta that we were using for so long, where we would run AMAX and FFAR or something to that effect. Close up AR, long range AR. So the movement speed nerf has hurt that a little. Otherwise, I think I would put this in strongest or meta. This gun is an animal, and it does another really neat thing with this and the AK-74U, which I'm sure is on here somewhere. They do more damage to the extremities than other guns. So if your aim is not great, these guns can actually help you out a little better than some of the others. The reason that I'm putting this in off meta, even with the recoil buff to make it a little bit better, it's still going to be a little hard for some people to use. You're going to be running this without a sight as kind of your mid to short range, and the recoil can still make you miss a little with this. It doesn't have a very high fire rate. So if your aim isn't great and you're having trouble hitting people at all, this one's going to be a little bit of trouble, I think. But other than that, the gun is absolute beast, very strong. If you can't hit your shots, it's going to delete people. AK-47 Modern Warfare, I'm going to put in viable. Again, depending on your skill level, I think this could definitely be higher. It's a very strong gun. You build it the right way, you can make it work, especially with the way things are now. But for most of us, this gun is just going to have a little too much recoil, be a little too hard to control at the moment. Moving forward to the AMAX, that is definitely still in the meta. Even after the nerf that took it down a little bit, you'll still see pretty much all of your big streamers using this, and same goes for people that maybe don't have quite the same skill set. The gun's too good. You just got to go ahead and use it anyways. The recoil pattern is controllable once you've used it a little while and learned it, and it's just still one of the strongest rifles in the game. AN-94, I would say don't play. There's just not enough reason for me to use this gun. I think if you look at times to kill, it can be pretty high on this. That's because of the burst effect or the higher speed effect of the first couple bullets. But for me, the downsides are just too high. I have never had much luck with this gun. AS-Val is very dependent on what mode you're playing. If it is duos or lower, then I put it up here. If it is trios or higher, then I would probably put it in the don't play version, just because of the magazine capacity. That's really it. And also, if you're coordinated out with your team and you know you're, as a player in your quad team, only going to have to fight one or two people at a time because of the way that you guys play, maybe you can bump this up. It is an animal. This is the only gun that every time I die to it, I think somebody's cheating because it's so fast. It just kills people instantly. There's just not enough bullets. So again, if you're playing duos or solos, it moves right up here. If you're playing trios or quads, it's probably in the don't play. I'm going to go ahead and leave it right in here, but just know it's a monster if you can work the magazine capacity. The FAL. This again is also very dependent on you personally. To me, I have this in the very slightly off meta, almost up into meta. But again, it's going to depend a little bit on you. If you have a very consistent trigger finger, not even necessarily super fast, but just very consistent, you can get the recoil on this down to where it's super manageable. Even if you're not shooting it as fast as humanly possible. If you are shooting it super fast, anything mid to short range, you're going to delete them very quickly. But if you have trouble with your trigger finger consistency, the recoil is going to seem inconsistent with this gun. That's the only reason that I'm putting it in off meta. Otherwise, I would have it right up here. Pharah, I believe, probably goes into the meta still. There's 2 or 3 different ways to run this gun. Personally, I don't have a ton of luck with it, but I've seen too many people that do have a lot of luck with it. It's a very consistent gun, for some reason, just not for me. But it definitely goes up here. There's too many people using it. It's obviously too good of a gun. You can run it as close range still. You can run it with the new SUSAT, not new, but you can run it in the new setup with the SUSAT like a lot of people are as a long range gun. Very consistent, a little slow in the reload. Other than that, it's fine. Pfaffer. The Pfaffer has went from up here to almost into don't play. Honestly, I think if we are looking at this as kind of mid-range players, average players or lower, I don't think there's any good reason to run the Pfaffer at this moment. There's just not. There's too many other good guns like the AK-47 Cold War, the XM4 that will hit people just as hard and as fast, and just be a little easier to use. I don't think there's any reason to run this anymore. It can be used again, almost everything can nowadays, but personally, I just don't see a reason to run it over other things. Okay, the FR556, the original FAMAS from Modern Warfare. This gun is very weird. I think I'm going to put it in the memes category. It's either viable or memes. If you're using it as a regular 3-burst, it's honestly as good as any of the other burst weapons at the moment, I think. Maybe even a little better than the AUGs and the CR, whatever the new one is. It's a little bit better. It's right in here, I think. M16 maybe slightly higher than it, but there is a really neat class you can run with this in single fire mode, which makes it run very much like the FAL, only I think it hits a little harder than the FAL. It's a pretty sweet class. It's a pretty fun class. Again, if we're looking at this for mid-level to lower players, that class might be a little tricky, so I'm going to put it in the memes. Growl goes right to the top. Very good gun. Super consistent. You're going to hit your shots with it. Not a ton of power, but it doesn't matter. You're going to be so accurate. You're going to hit really well. This is a great gun to run as your fully loaded class. The Groza, I would say don't play. It's very much like the Pfaffer. They're almost the same gun, only I think the Pfaffer is easier to use than the Groza, and I'm already saying don't run this. So, and actually, I think I would probably put it like this at the moment. There's just not a good enough reason. There's too many other good guns. Kilo, it goes right up here to the top. Crazy enough, if you're looking at WZ ranked, Kilo is the 3rd most used gun in Warzone again at the time, behind the CAR and I think the MAC-10. The Kilo meta was enormous, went away. It's not necessarily a Kilo meta again, but the gun is just very good. Like a Growl, but I would say a little better in the mid-range probably, a little worse in the long range. Very similar guns. Excellent. Run it. Use it for your full loaded if you want to. It's a great gun. Run it. Krig 6, you're seeing a lot of play right now. I personally would probably put this here. For the level we're talking about, there's a lot of people running it, a lot of people like it. I feel like it's just not quite as consistent in what I've run. Again, kind of like with the Pharah, only I have had a lot more playtime with the Krieg, and I'm just not getting what I feel like I should be getting out of it. Maybe that's a personal thing. Again, these two can kind of be moved around a little, but I've got a lot more playtime with the Krieg than the Pharah, and it's good. I just don't feel like it's as good as it could be, and I don't see as many people playing it as I do the Pharah still at the moment. M13, I'm going to put right here in the off meta. All three of these guns are very, very similar, with the M13 and the Growl probably being the closest together. But I think these two just have a little more super duper accurate. You're going to have a lot of times where you're going to hit people with what feels like 30 bullets before you down them, but you're going to hit them with all 30 probably. Super accurate gun, really cool looking gun, one of the coolest looking on the game, I think, but just not quite good enough to be in that top level. M4A1 I put up here just because of its versatility. Super accurate, better I believe than, actually I would probably do this for us personally on the level we're looking at, maybe even up to here. Mid-range and down, if you're running this as a long-range gun and you get caught with it mid-range and down, it's super strong, and then it works really well as a mid to long also, just because of the versatility of this. I think for people that maybe are new to the game or don't have all your aiming techniques and strategy down, this gun can just help you out in a lot of situations where some of these other ones are a little more particular to use. Odin, very much like the FR556, there are some really cool kind of memey classes where you can do with a lot of power with the Odin. It just shoots real slow, you're going to move real slow, and so it's just not really in this viable category for what we're looking for. You could definitely get good games with this, but you're going to have to know what you're doing to do that. Very powerful gun, I really love it, but it's kind of memey, I would say. Ram7 I'm putting right up here, and I'm actually, this at the moment is my favorite gun to use in the AR section. I think in all truth and actuality, I think the AMAX is probably still your better bet for most people, just because it has that little extra power. But just because this is pretty much all I've been playing with and I've been just slapping with it, I'm putting this up here. Very, very accurate, especially when mounted. If you mount with this, it's a laser beam, super fast time to kill. Again, much like the M4, you get caught up close, you're still going to slap people with it, but it works very well at all ranges. I love this gun. This is my main class right now. I run a Ram7 and a Cold War Mp5. Scar 17, just don't play. Love the gun. I wish it was better. Add 20 bullets to it and you can probably get away with using it. Right now, just can't use it. XM4 goes into the meta also. Very strong. This one I would probably recommend. This and the AK-47 Cold War, even though the AK-47 Cold War is a more powerful gun, the XM4 they work very similar as really good up close guns. You can still get away with running this as your up close version of, instead of running an SMG, even after the nerf if you want to. Great gun. Mobility's still good even after the nerf. It's not as good as it was, and it really slaps. Bruin, I'm going to put in off meta. I'm not a big fan of the Bruin myself personally, but it is good. Super low super low recoil. I've just never been a fan, and at the moment, the way that the game is going, I don't think you can sacrifice your movement to run an LMG. We get down into the PKM later. I've been an enormous PKM fan since the beginning of the game. It's an absolute beast of a gun, but I'm just not running it right now because I feel like moving quicker is more important at the moment than what the LMGs give you. Again, with the fin, this is viable. With the right attachments, this thing has, I think, almost zero recoil, but you get zero recoil and like very low damage, or you get really high damage and tons of recoil. So it's viable. You can use it. You're not going to be just like severely outclassed, but it's just a little trickier to run than some of the others. Holger, I would say don't play. You can make it work, but again, there's just too many other better options. It's just a worse. It's not good enough at what LMGs do to be an LMG, and it's not good enough at what ARs do to be an AR. M60, I wish I had a place where I could delete this from the game and just take it completely out of Call of Duty. That this is the worst gun I've ever seen. I would much rather have my ground loot pistol than the M60. You're never going to change my mind on that. That gun sucks. M91 is fine, but I would probably still play. All of these, I'm going to say don't play for our average players. MG34 has super fast time to kill. It's just too inconsistent. It's too hard to use. PKM, viable with the Fin. I think I actually like it better than the Fin. I like it better than the AK-47 in Modern Warfare as well. Very, very good gun. Would definitely move up higher for me if the game wasn't at a place where movement was so important at the moment. RPD is viable, but it's going to be on the back end here. Recoil is controllable. Just, there's better options. SA-87, we're going to put in don't play, but I think I would put it in this area. Yeah, I kind of like how that looks. It's a fine gun, actually. Again, we're talking about trying to make sure that our KD goes up, that we have better times in games, more kills in games. This one is not going to help you do that. It's not necessarily going to hurt you, but there's just too many better options. If you're looking to just kind of have some fun, there's some class setups, but it's not memey enough to be in memes, and it's not good enough to be inviolable. Stoner, I'm going to put in off meta right in front of the Bruin. Very good gun. Also, it can be used if you're in a quad, if you're in a team, and you happen to be the guy that gets tasked with taking out vehicles. There are some very good setups for this where you can take out vehicles very quickly. The crossbows, I say don't play. I don't even count them as memes. Crossbows aren't real. Use a compound. EBR, don't play. It's not worth memeing. There are better meme guns. Meta car is up here. Where do we want it for the type of players? Probably there for the type of players we're looking at. If you're just looking to play as solidly as you can and you're not the greatest player in the world, you're going to get more usage out of these three guns than you will out of the car. Once you get used to sniping and you get used to the movement you need and you find you a good secondary, you can really start to do some nasty things with the car. But until you get to that point, these are just going to give you more utility. MK2, there's your meme marksman rifle. If you want a meme, the EBR sucks. The MK2 looks cool. They both suck, but this one looks cool. There you go. SKS, don't play. SPR goes into the off meta. SPR and car. The SPR is essentially a weakened version of the HDR. Little better range than the car, but a little less aim down. Car has better aim down, better everything essentially. So I can't really put this up there, even though I like the gun better. The car is just going to outperform it. So very good, usable. Whichever one you like is fine. The car is just better at the moment. AK-74U, we are putting in viable, and I think I like it better. Yeah, I'd like it better than everything that's in here now. It's very viable, actually. It's very close to being an off meta. There's just a few other subs that are enough better that we're going to have to move it down into here. But again, just like this AK-47, really strong on the extremities. So if your aim's not great, it'll help you out anyways. Modern Warfare AUG, we need to just don't play. The aim down is just too bad on it. It used to be a beast of a gun at the start of the game, but now it's just not that great. The Bison, we are going to put in off meta, I think right in front of the Stoner. really, this is the Modern Warfare gun. The Bullfrog is kind of the Cold War version of it. The Bullfrog is definitely better, but for the type of people that we're talking about here, any kind of gun that has a ton of ammunition is always going to be a helpful thing. This, the P90, the Bullfrog, any of those, it's very helpful to not have to reload that much, especially when you're in the middle of fights. When you're new to these type of games, you're not sure when to reload, when you have time to get it off. Having a lot of bullets helps. I think it's off meta. I think it's a very good gun to use. Bullfrog goes right up here, and I think it's honestly probably in this area. It's one of the best SMGs on the game right now. There's quite a few very good SMGs, but this is top 2 or 3, maybe top 1. Tons of bullets. If you get headshots at all, it just knocks people down anyways, even if you don't. But headshots really help this gun. Just all around, your movement's good. It's got good iron sights. It's a good gun. The Fennec, very much like the AS Val, wherever I put that, there it is. But a little better magazine capacity. Solos, duos, I think it is very, very strong, probably in the meta range. Quads, trios, it's better than the Val, just because it has a few more bullets. The problem is you need to be really up close with this gun. So I think it's viable. I would probably put it here. It's definitely a viable gun. Really deletes people when you're up close. The bullet velocity is just so low that anything over 15 meters, it feels like your bullets are just diving down a hill. So keep that in mind. You need to stay up close, and I think that when you are very close, I think there are better guns. But it's a good gun. You can use it. Nothing wrong with it necessarily in that matter. ISO, I would just say don't play. KSP, sorry, OB friend, but we're going to put that in the don't play category. The LC10, that comes up here. I would probably put it, I think I'm going to put it in the meta, and I'm going to put it, matter of fact, let's do this like that. Super accurate. Off the ground, it's a great grounded gun to pick up early. I like it really well. Just a very good gun all around. Reminds me a lot of the Mac-10, but very good gun. And then we get to the Mac-10, which I think is just a better version of this. And I would put it, I think I'm going to put it in front of the Bullfrog for what we're doing here today. The average player, you're going to get way more consistency out of the Mac-10, I think, than the Bullfrog. You can the time to kill is much better with the Bullfrog and some of these other submachine guns, but this gun is just so good even at slightly extended ranges. If you get caught with the wrong gun out, you can make the Mac-10 work. At least that's how I feel. I love this gun. It's awesome. One of the best subs on the game. Milano, we are putting in don't play. You could probably put this in viable, honestly. But for me, I don't like the Milano much. Okay, this one is the toughest one for me. Cold War Mp5 is my favorite gun on the game right now. It absolutely demolishes anyone inside of 10 meters. Outside of 10 meters, it's not very good. So you either have to have another gun that can pick up the slack in between, or be good enough to know when to switch, how to get into engagements where you're controlling the distance. And other than being super up close, when the recoil doesn't matter, the recoil on this gun is tough to control. So it's definitely one of the strongest guns on the game. It's definitely a meta gun. I think if you are new to the game and maybe not the best aim, maybe not the best movement, I think you'll get more usage out of the Mac-10, the Bullfrog, even the LC-10, probably even the XM4. This gun is very niche, but not so niche that it goes into here. It's just too good to be in this. It's an absolute animal of a gun. For anyone above average, it goes bang. I think it goes right in here somewhere. But for the average to below average, I think I still have to put it in the meta, and then maybe just put it like right here, probably behind these guys. Whoops, behind these guys. Yeah, I think I would still take it. Even it's just so strong. I have a TikTok out about it right now. Up close, this gun is insta, just nasty gun. Now the counterpart, the modern Warfare Mp5, almost the exact same time to kill, slightly slower, still faster than almost everything else. Little easier to control, little easier to use, better hip fire. You're going to be a little slower using it as you move around. It's so tough to say. I think I put it just a little in front for ease of use factors, but I don't think I would put it, for the average player, I don't think I would put it above the M4 yet. Just not yet. With a little practice, these guns, either one of them, shoot up exponentially. But if you're new and you're starting out, they're a little tough to use. Uzi, don't play. AUG on the Cold War, probably still viable, but barely. There's just better guns. You could probably still get away with it though. DMR is going to be off meta. Much like the FAL, only the FAL I think is more controllable, better recoil because of, whoops, where did I pull this out of? Where did I have that? There? Can't remember now. I think so. Somewhere in here. Anyways, DMR, because it was such an animal when it was an animal, they nerfed it 3 or 4 times or whatever. So I think the FAL, even though they're similar guns, is a little better. Still strong. If you can control the recoil, still a good gun. M16 is going to go up here above the AUG. Just a little easier to use. Very similar guns, but didn't get hit with as many nerfs. Right up here, and I would probably put it there. Type 63, viable, but getting very close to the don't play. These are just so much better. There's not a good use for this gun. 725, that's a meme. There are some absolute nasty meme classes with like the sniper scope and the nose stock or whatever, and you can one hit people from forever away. Even it's just dumb, but way too hard to use for anything else. Gallo is going to go up here. I'm going to put it in off meta, but I'm going to put it here. So with it and some of the other shotguns we're going to come up to, absolute beast, animal of a gun. Again, very close, kind of like these MP5s. The difference is, even if you can't control the recoil good, and even if you can't necessarily kill someone at 20 meters with these two guns, you can still hit them. With the Gallo, you really can't. Up close, it's gonna demolish everything you see, but you just literally can't put bullets downrange on something outside of whatever 5-8 meters. So it's just harder to use, so it's off meta, but it's insanely strong. Hauer, I would say don't play. Off the ground, this is not bad ground loot though when you're starting out, especially when people are 2 plates. But as far as building a class around it, I would recommend not doing that. Jack 12 is definitely viable in a similar fashion to the Gallo. I would put it above these, right in there. Model 680 is don't play. Origin is viable also. It's the same, very similar guns. R90 again. These are all, they're fine. They're just not, there's just better options, but you can use them, no problem. Street Sweeper goes right up here, and almost it again. Because they are shotguns, I am putting them in here, but these two guns would be right up here. As soon as you get to that point I was talking about, where you feel comfortable being able to control the distance of your engagements. If you can consistently get in close to people without them killing you before you get there, these guns are animals. Move them right up. Vlk Rogue is a meme gun, very much like the 725. There's some neat kind of weird really powerful 1 and 2 hit classes with it. Too hard to use other than that. AX50, viable, but I don't see a real good reason to use it. I love that gun, but there's just too many better snipers. It's in danger of falling into the don't play category. Dragunov's a meme. HDR is off meta, and in comparison to the SPR, this is tough. The HDR at least has something that it's great at, and that's really long range sniping. The SPR is a weak version of this, so it doesn't have that, but it kind of wants to be this more so than it wants to be an aggressive car. So if you're gonna long range snipe, use the HDR. If you're gonna aggressive snipe, use the car. There's not a great reason to use the SPR. That being said, this is still a great sniper. So it's kind of a tough, it's kind of weird on how that plays out there. M82 don't play. Pellington is in the same boat. It is kind of a weaker car. So much like the SPR, it's I'm gonna put it in viable and pretty high up here because I really like it actually. We'll put it up there, but it is actually no, it needs to be behind the Fennec. Very good sniper. There's just not a good reason to use it over the car unless you just like how it looks or something. Stat wise, it's just not enough better. The car may be getting some nerfs coming up. If so, look for all of these Cold War snipers to move forward. Rytech is a meme. Let's see. Tundra, it goes into the same spot as the HDR. Boom, right there. Matter of fact, I'm going to move this down. We'll just put the SPR in the Pellington. HDR Tundra is kind of the same gun. Okay, 1911 Cold War. So I'm going to rank these as far as just kind of like your secondaries as opposed to not building a initial class off of them. But can you use them as like a ghost class gun so that you don't have to pick up overkill right off the rip? Probably not. So I would probably put it in the don't play. Don't make this your secondary gun in either of the 1911s. I'm really glad that this is what we have coming out of the sky now. They're strong, definitely can get you some kills, but don't use this as your backup gun to get ghost. Same with the Deagle. Let's see, same with, I'm skipping ahead, but same with the Magnum. All of these, we don't want to do that. Now, Diamati's, I'm going to put, make sure I'm getting this right. Diamati's the newer one, right? Or is Renetti the newer one? I've already forgot because they're so similar. I'm pretty sure the Diamati is the newer one. So Diamati's going to go up here. M19 is going to go up here. I'll explain all this in a second. This is going to go in this area. Snake shots, that's going to be don't play. X16 is one of the worst guns of all time. Anyways, so these two guns right here, the M19 with a Kimbo, has to be with a Kimbo. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It really needs to be with a Kimbo. Has an incredibly high, incredibly fast time to kill. You can absolutely run it with a ghost class and be okay for a little while off the bat. It is a Kimbo though, so if you have trouble aiming with that, keep that in mind. Diamati the same way. It and the Renetti, if I'm remembering these in order correctly, are both very good burst guns, very strong. You can run them akimbo or solo and do really well with them as a ghost secondary. I like them both really well. They aren't what they once were. Both of these were overpowered at some point, but they've been nerfed since then. But they're still solid. You can definitely get away with them, especially in like solos as a ghost secondary, just to get you ghost off the rip. Those are fine to use, and I would probably say, even though the time to kill is so fast with the M19, these are going to be a little steadier for you, just because they're not as hard to use, not as hard to aim, and because you have the option to run them as a solo gun instead of a Kimbo, and still be very strong guns. Melee is a meme. Shield is a meme. Sigma, I would say don't play. Joker has some use. One of the better ones for shooting stuff down out of the sky. You can also use it to hit certain spots on the map. You can lock it onto areas as opposed to just vehicles, which you may or may not know. But if you aim in an area long enough, it'll launch a rocket at that area. So it has actually a pretty decent amount of use. Also, I like to sometimes on my ghost classes, my second, like if I'm picking up my second gun off another ghost, I like to have something like the Joker or something kind of goofy on there, as opposed to a gun like a Kimbo 19s or something that could be used against me. M79 is don't use. Pila, don't use. Let me get down here. RPG is viable and kind of for whatever reason creeping its way back up through the ranks. Seeing a lot of people run it now. Don't really know why. These are the same. This is whatever. Strela also viable and probably above the Joker. Probably right in there. Again, you can lock on, you can shoot stuff out of the sky, you can quick fire it. It's really good at downing people that are injured. It's really good at blowing up cars quickly. You can shoot it at something that's moving and not have to lock on, but you can use it to lock on as well. So a very, very good secondary for shooting stuff out of the sky. I believe that is everything we got here. So we'll just kind of look at, I'll let you look here, make sure I get everything in. You can see the whole ranks. Hopefully this was helpful to kind of let you know what guns are worth using, what guns are probably better staying away from. Again, I'd love to hear your opinions on what I've got on my list here. I'd love to hear what guns you think outperform, which guns maybe underperform. And again, anytime, we'd love for you to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you feel like it, check us out on Twitch, TikTok, all those other places. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video.